Hey, welcome back to another video. This one I'm going over my experience at the Oldhim Armory event held at Rune Board in Hillsborough. Now this ended up being a little bit small as only 4 players ended up showing up, which was a little sad, but you know, it's still growing a bit. It was a constructed Blitz event, and I took the same deck I did at the Lexi event, and that was my Lexi deck that focuses mainly on ice and frostbite, along with some pumps and other ways to get at your opponent a bit, especially running Shiver to get the dominate and help ensure those on-hit effects happen. I did make a slight change to it because I pulled a Heart of Ice, so I decided to add that, and every game I ran it just because I wanted to see if I liked it, how it would work out, and if it was worthwhile having it, or if the Coat of Frost kind of does better, and think about if maybe Spring Tunic would do good in there. Well, the night did start off a little rough for me. I was running a little bit late, so I couldn't quite get the camera set up, so I don't have a video to show you on this one, but I faced off for the first time against Kayo. Now this little runt is bonkers, just luck of the dice, right? And so Oz was playing him and won the roll to go first, and of course chose to go first. He opened up with a pretty light attack. I mean, the dice ended up having his attack, and it ended up being a 5. Easy to block out. I think I just took a couple damage because I liked my hand. And then I was able to fire back at him a little bit and set up for my next turn. And I had a red Chill to the Bone, so I thought, yeah, I'm gonna get him on my second turn. But he turned and swung at me again hard. This time, I believe it was a 14 dominate. I mean, okay, a little rough to get through, no problem. You know, the dice doubled it up. So I took most of that damage, blocked what I could with some Perch Grapplers and a card in my hand. Then I was able to flip my Chill to the Bone, give him that Frostbite token, play it, do a dominate attack of my own, and stacked up 4 Frostbite tokens on him. So I thought, alright, I've done a little bit of damage, and I have all those Frostbite tokens on him. Surely I'll get a little bit of a turn off. Nope. I was wrong. He was able to basically chuck his whole hand and get a 16. Like, not dominated, I guess luckily for me, but 16 damage coming at you when I thought I had him pretty well locked out was not expected. This obviously hit me down pretty hard. I blocked with what I could and ended up on, I believe it was 2 life, so not a very good position to be in. Then I went ahead and took my turn, which ultimately didn't really do much, and so that kind of started spelling the end of it. Essentially his next attack, I can't really quite remember what it was, but I believe it was a dominated, pretty low somewhat, but all my gear was gone. I didn't have any defense reactions, so I was in the dirt. So all it took was 4 turns for him to put me down. I learned a lot on that one and made me think if I want to retool and maybe put a couple defense reactions or maybe change my deck a little bit. My next match was against Phil running Lexi. He was running more of a Lightning Lexi, so this was kind of a good chance to pair off, see how well Frost did against the Lightning, right? And this one I do have a video of, and Phil's flexing a little bit with his cool Judge mat that he got. Not too many of them around, and it is a really cool looking mat, so definitely at least look at the video for that. This time, I got to win the roll to go first, and of course chose to go first. We basically had a little bit of back and forth. I got some good dominate attacks on him, stacked a couple effects, and then he was able to hit me with some attacks, and we just kind of wore each other down a little bit. Then he came out with a lighted up out of his arsenal that I was a little scared of because he still had another chance to go. I was able to block it out though, all 5 of it, with the help of some equipment. Just threw that at it and said, no, you're not hitting me for extra damage. He then threw down another attack, and that one I just had to take the damage because I didn't really have much else. Then that left me with just enough cards to drop an Overflex, letting me reload a card in. This was just a blue Overflex, but mainly it's there for this kind of turn. Loaded in an arrow and was able to shoot it out at him. Now he did block some, but he was on 5 health, he took 4, and because he defended with a card from hand, I was able to crack my Mark of Lightning equipment and do that 1 extra damage to end it. So, skipped out of that one. The third game was against Jeremiah, and he was running Kavdaen, I believe is the name. Basically being forced to run generics. And another one I haven't played before and I've heard him talk about, so I'm a little bit nervous. It did surprise me he was able to drop some big attacks on me. Luckily for me, I was able to win the roll to go first, and again, chose to go first to start my Frostbite chain. This one I have most of the video, but again, for some reason, my battery wasn't charged up enough, mistake there, and it died a few turns from the end. Again, it was another one where we had a nice back and forth going. I was able to hit him for some, he kind of came back and hit me, nothing too spectacular until a couple turns, and of course there were some of the last turns. One of those pivotal turns was he was attacking me and I had a Frost Lock and I think like a Chilling Ice Vein or Frost, like another arrow attack. And I couldn't decide which one do I want to block with. And I decided to keep the Frost Lock, maybe just because, I mean, he hadn't been really pitching or playing many 0 cards, a few of them in there. And it paid off when it came back around to my turn, and I laid that down. He just kind of laughed, covered up his hand a little bit, and showed me all 4 of his cards were a 0 cost. So the Frost Lock meant you cannot play those. That gave me a nice turn off. But unfortunately for me, that turn off basically was a hard one for me. I made a lot of misplays. Again, I had a red Chill to the Bone in my arsenal. I was able to flip that out and play it. Then I think I was a little excited and rushed through my turn a little bit. I threw down a Ball Lightning when I really didn't mean to throw that. I wanted to pitch that because I also had a few other cards in my hand I needed to, like a Remorseless and an Arrow Attack. And I think it was the Amulet of Ice. Basically the card I was going to use to fuse. Well, by playing the Ball Lightning, I couldn't really get my Arrow Attack going because I wanted that +3. So I had to break the chain in order to do that. And also he was able to block my Ball Lightning, which then of course took out Chill to the Bone, and it did nothing. So instead of doing like probably 8 or 9 damage to him and applying like 3 Frostbites and having a great little turn, it kind of fizzled out a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still did some damage to him and knocking him down a bit. He then was able to get a good attack, followed by his weapon, which put me down to 1 life. Unfortunately for me, my hand was full of non-attack action cards. I had 4 cards that all blocked for 2. So to keep alive, I ended up tossing my gear and 2 of those cards, so I had 2 left just to try to pull something out. And luck paid off again in this one. I took those 2 cards, I cracked my Ragamuffin's hat so I could reshuffle those in, and drew 2 cards. And they were just the cards I basically needed to finish this out. I had a yellow Polar Blast and a Chilling Ice Vein. So I was able to load up the Chilling Ice Vein with a Dominate, pitching that Polar Blast, and then fire it, so I had just enough to do it. I should also mention he was also at 1 life. He was able to pull out a 4 block from hand, but because he did it from hand, I was able to do my Mark of Lightning and crack that and score that 1 last damage to get the win. Whew, if I didn't do that, I think he would have had me next turn. So all in all, I went 2-1 on this, and it was a fun event. It was a great group of people. There was a lot of joking, a lot of fun going around because it was just us, and we all kind of knew each other. And ironically, as the random promo participation prize, I got a yellow Polar Blast. So I've been basically adding 1 foil for every time I do a win, and I'm probably gonna have to throw that in because that was almost the clutch and just kind of ironic. Then I was able to get 2nd in order to get the Oldhim Rainbow Foil. So thanks again to Rune Board for throwing a great event. That was a lot of fun, and I hope to get some more games in soon. Thanks.